Crime is on the rise, and it's a product of the crisis we've been facing for the last 3 or 4 months at this point. And it's spiking in major cities, but that doesn't mean spillover isn't possible in rural environments or in the smaller towns on the outskirts of those urban areas. So in this video, we're going to talk about preparing for that rise in crime and how even if you live in a rural environment or in a smaller town, you can still be easily affected by what's happening right now. Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and today we're going to talk about how crime is on the rise, and it's definitely a product of the pandemic. A lot of people are desperate, they're out of work, there's no money, and so when those desperations arise, people tend to look for alternative options for how they're going to meet their needs. And crime tends to be one of the highest items on the list because it takes a little bit less of an investment and it has a good return. So we're seeing a spike in crime all over the country, especially in the major population areas. When you look at Detroit, New York City, when you look at any of those major metropolitan areas like Chicago, Atlanta, tons of crime has skyrocketed over the past month. And some of it's due to the unrest, and a lot of it's due to the pandemic. And some people are trying to place blame on policies or on people who are supposed to be in charge, but a lot of it really is just a natural byproduct of the fact that people are out of work, they have too much time on their hands, they don't have an income, and there's a lot of financial instability around the world right now to where people are finding themselves desperate, okay? So this rise in crime is concerning because even though it seems like right now it's focused in the major population areas, it can easily spill over into a rural or a small town environment very quickly because people realize once they get more and more desperate, they start to plan, and they realize quickly that those types of towns and those types of areas don't feel the need to protect themselves the same way as some of the people in the urban environments do because they're so used to that crime being an element of their daily life, okay? So if you're preparing for SHTF scenarios or without rule of law situations that we're all starting to see and face regularly at this point in time, hit the subscribe button below so that we can keep informed and keep trying to move forward in our preparations, okay? So how do you prepare for a rise in crime? How do you make sure that you're safe, that your property is safe, and that the people that you care about remain safe when so many people are taking to the streets and taking to the element of crime to meet their basic needs? Well, one of the things we need to talk about is fortifying your home, okay? There's a lot of really simple, inexpensive ways you can fortify your home so that way things can be a little bit safer for you when you are in your castle, okay? So basic things like changing out the screws on your door stops, making sure things have long wood screws in them instead of these tiny little finishing screws they like to add in their lock packages that you buy at the store. Things like putting a chain lock or a clasp lock on your door to make sure there's that extra element of space when you do open it for somebody you might not know, or if you have kids or somebody like my dog that can open the door somehow, it keeps those people from being able to open the door as easily, and it keeps other people from being able to come inside. Another way you can fortify your home is by having a security system. And I don't mean like your generalized ADT style security system, but I mean a surveillance system, okay? Have some kind of surveillance. Make sure that you have cameras, make sure that you have motion sensors. If you guys have excellent surveillance systems that you're worried or that you actually think work well and you want to let me know about them, please do so in the comments because I did recently move and I am looking for a new system. And if you have good advice or systems that you've had good experience with in the past, I'm always looking for new or better items than what I've used in the past. So let me know about that below. But you can get a surveillance system, very important. They also have things like driveway motion detectors and stuff like that where you can see if somebody's accessing your property even if your driveway is far away from it, okay? A big part of fortifying your home is making sure that you don't advertise that it's a good location to target. And by that, what I mean is don't make yourself an easy target and don't let everybody know everything you have in your home in the sense of, being outside and constantly waving around the new toys that you've recently received, okay? There's a lot of targeting. There's a lot of people that stake out places before they decide to make a move. And you need to be vigilant and aware of those people when they are driving by or taking a little bit too long of a look at your home. Those are things you should be noticing, okay? And one of the things that I also suggest when it comes to preparing for a rise in crime, besides just fortifying your home, is going to be obtaining some kind of a concealed carry license, okay? Now look, I understand a lot of people say, you know, Magic Prepper, you talk about guns all the time. You know, prepping isn't just about firearms. I agree, okay? It's also just one of my passions, something I really enjoy, and it's one of the reasons why I bring it up so often, because you can't protect your preps if you don't have a way to protect them. And with the rise of crime going on right now, it's a good reason to understand why that need is so high, okay? And if you have an ability to obtain a concealed carry license and you want to make sure that you can protect yourself in or out of your home, then make sure you try your best to do that. Accomplish the tasks at hand that require you to get that license. If you live in a state with constitutional carry, you should be carrying anyway. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to carry outside of your home. You can come back to your home and be faced with a break-in, and someone could even be inside your home. And if you don't have that firearm on you to enter your home with, what are you going to do in that situation? And of course, you know, calling the police is always a good option. But as we know, calling the police, especially right now in times of turmoil, they're not always able to show up right away. And sometimes that wait time is too long. Sometimes you'll pull up at your house and somebody will be in your driveway loading their car with the things they're stealing from your house. So those are things you have to consider, and why having a concealed carry permit is so important, or at least carrying a firearm if you have a constitutional carry state. Okay, so look up your local laws and know what you're legally able to do. But I did move to North Dakota from California, and even in California, I was able to obtain a concealed carry permit, which is not easy, but it's still possible. And so you should do your best to see what you can do. There are counties that don't allow it at all, and I understand that, but do what you can, because it's very important. You need to protect yourself, and crime is on the rise. The statistics are there. There's articles out all over the place about the rise in crime right now, and the blame is being placed on a lot of things, but the real blame comes from the crisis at hand. It comes from the pandemic. It comes from the desperation that it's created because people don't have what they need to survive on a daily basis anymore, okay? So another thing you can do to combat this rise of crime that you need to be taking a look at is networking with your neighbors, okay? You need to know your neighbors and talk to them about a plan, or talk to them about having each other's backs, okay? Having that extra set of eyes in your neighborhood to say, hey, I'm going on vacation this weekend. If you trust this person, let them know you're leaving. That way they can keep an eye on your house and let them know no one should be there. So if someone pulls in and starts going into your home, they know that that's not right, and they can at least alert you or alert the authorities or whatever you decide on in that planning. And the rest of the neighborhood can help keep an eye on your neighborhood and your community. So when things start to go south, the neighborhood is on alert. Everybody should have maybe a text group or something along those lines, and then say, hey, this is happening at the front gates. Be aware, we're gonna try to stop any entry of any kind of negative force, and if it spills over past the gates, then you need to be prepared to defend your home. Those are good alerts to have in place. Those are good plans to make now while you're able to. So network with your neighbors as best you can. Of course, OPSEC is important when it comes to preparation, but you also need extra people, and community is generally going to win the day over OPSEC if it comes to maybe a mob entry of your community, okay? So things that are important, and this is just basics, but I'm just trying to get some more ideas out there for y'all, because crime is rising. It is just a fact. Statistically, it's rising, and it's rising for many reasons compounded into one thing, which is people are desperate, okay? And they're trying to do the best they can to get what they need, okay? So last thing I'm gonna talk about during this video in a response for the rising crime that I think all of you need to be very aware of, and I think that you need to kind of take a look in the mirror and make sure that you're not guilty of this, but negate all your bad habits. Bad habits are a good way to put yourself in a predicament. And what I mean by that is, what are those bad habits you're committing right now that are gonna put you at a loss in case of this rise in crime? I live in a rural environment. I think my town has about 10,000 people in it, maybe down to 7 now after everything going on with the crisis at hand. Great, okay? Small town, great community, really like it out here. Here's the issue. Even here, crime is on the rise. People's cars are getting broken into, garages are being robbed, and the reason this is happening is because people are desperate and they're losing their work, they're losing their jobs, they're getting less money than they're used to, and they're trying to figure out if there's other ways they can supplement that, okay? And some people are more willing to act on these urges than other people. So the people who are more willing and inclined to commit these crimes are right now saying, oh, now's the time, and they're making it happen, okay? And they're catching a lot of people off guard because we have a tight community, we're a small town, but guess what? People are still getting robbed. And so bad habits include things like leaving valuables in your vehicle, okay? That's a bad habit that people out here tend to forget about because, smaller town, we're not worried about break-ins as much or car theft as you would be in a big metropolitan area. But guess what? It's still happening. And people are leaving their doors unlocked when it comes to their house, when it comes to their vehicle. Why are you leaving your door unlocked? Okay, a lot of people say, well, if they're going to get in, they'll break a window. I understand that, but a big part of maintaining security and building good habits is trying to deter people from wanting to target you. And if the thing that they're doing is going around a parking lot and trying to open your door and it's locked, they might just move on to the next car that isn't locked, okay? Same with your home. They knock on the door, no one's home, they try to enter and it's locked, they might move on to the next house, especially if you have dogs. But those habits are things you need to break now, okay? Some of those habits also include not carrying your firearm, saying, I just don't feel like putting it on today. That's a bad habit. Those are habits you need to fix, okay? Other habits you need to fix are gonna be related to talking too much to people you don't know, okay? People you don't know are a big factor when it comes to risk, when it comes to crime, okay? Letting people you don't know about how you're going on a week-long vacation and how you live in this certain apartment building is a risk because those people might target you at that point. So make sure you are smart about who you talk about things with and who you trust, but also just make sure you eliminate these bad habits because those habits are bad. And even if you feel very safe where you are and even if you don't want to live in fear, it's not about living in fear. It's about building habits that make you more secure, okay? Locking your door isn't considered, a fearful act. It's considered common sense at this point because people do steal things and people will rob you. And the easier it is to enter your home, the more likely you're going to be robbed. These are just facts, and it's not based out of fear, it's based out of statistics. So make sure that you do the things that are gonna put you ahead of the game when it comes to this rise in crime. Because I guarantee you, it's spilling over in the rural environments, it's spilling over in the smaller towns. The major cities are getting a huge spike in crime. In some cities, it's up 180% over the last month. And that is a really large spike. And that is a problem because honestly, the police are stretched too thin. They can't handle every single call that comes in. And when it comes to you and yours, you have to be that first line of defense. And basic things like locking your door can make the difference of somebody being in your home when you get back home from work or not. And those are things you need to really consider and start thinking about now with everything that's happening. So with this rise in crime, I wanted to make sure to address it. I wanted to make sure to give some advice about things you can do to mitigate some of that risk. And the biggest and most important part of this whole equation is just having the mindset that this is happening, okay? Being aware that these things are going on is gonna put you on the next level compared to somebody who's walking around ignorantly and not thinking about these things. So even just by having that thought process, you're gonna put yourself in a better position. And now when you leave your home, you might say, you know what, crime is up, I really should lock this door. Or, hey, crime is up, I'm not gonna leave my CCW at home. All those things are good things to start doing now. And like I said in the beginning, if you have a good surveillance system that you like, that you think works well, isn't extremely expensive, and is something that I might not be able to move because it is a rental I'm in right now, please let me know because I want to make sure to get that surveillance system in place sooner than later. And I'd love to get some advice from all of you about what works or what doesn't, okay? So if you have any other questions at all, let me know in the comments. Make sure that you also tell other people in the comments your advice for fortifying their home or for losing bad habits that maybe put you at higher risk of criminal activity. And without anything else to say about this rising crime that's happening right now, that's going to be it for Magic Prepper.